Took a short little rest, caught their wind, blah, blah, blah.
Not blah, blah, blah. We made it through the night. We helped round up the injured and put out fires, and then we tried to get as much rest as possible.
Yes. And they had an injured monk approach him, saying that his master was in the area when the attack happened. Him and another student managed to, survive, but they haven't seen their master. It went by the name of Laosin.
Right, Laosin was the monk master's name.
So he asked them if they were out, to find him. And also, a little bit later, the governor, Nighthill, came up, approached the characters.
The governor!
Asked them to, follow the raiders back, basically recon. See their numbers, the size, what's going on, and blah, and that stuff. So the characters headed out, had a couple encounters with some rear guard.
Yeah, we ran into like a rear guard or a pack of stragglers that weren't at the camp yet. And I remember encountering them, and we overtook them rather quickly, I think, by surprise. And we were able to get their... the humanoids kind of have like a uniform, at least tunics and such, that they wore to, represent who they were. So we were able to get their clothing, and we decided that we were going to just try to walk into the camp at that point. Which, go right ahead.
Which they basically, the security was down, everybody was celebrating a successful raid. They basically just walked in like they owned it. They made their way around. Let's see, they eventually came to the area where the prisoners were being held, any captives, and there they discovered Laosin, an elf. He was tied to an axe, so to speak.
Right.
And, they were working on getting him out and getting themselves out when they were captured.
Well, we were noticed. Scar was noticed. Yes. He was noticed by someone because of his involvement at the battle at Greenest.
Yes.
And Scar being hideously deformed, not deformed, but scarred, if you will, from being burned. He was an easy person to recognize. And at that point, with all of our best efforts, we tried to escape, but the party was subdued and captured, but Scar made it out by running his ass off. He used expeditious retreat, which allowed him to move really quick for a short period of time, and he ran out and hid in the woods, rested up, and then came back in with, I believe, invisibility.
Yeah, I think you had a potion of invisibility that you drank. You didn't have the spell yet. Somehow
I was able to go invisible and cause a diversion.
Yes.
But I had to wait for a while. But I was, throughout the whole scenario, Scar was sending messages to Davlin and Mave and Generic the Cleric. It's a cantrip that he has, and they use it like the military would use earpiece, comms, kind of. So he was letting them know when and where he was going to do things. Scar was able to free them, and we were able to hightail it out of there at that point, I believe. We were able to get out in time without anybody catching us.
With Laosin,
correct,
along with you, which the characters then proceeded to return to Greenest. They took a couple days off. Chapter 2 ended,
and that's where Chapter 3 picks up. Yes. It's kind of like after we had healed up a little bit, rested, and let Laosin rest. he briefed the governor type person we talked about.
Yes.
We kind of got our proverbial shit together, and it was time for the next plot drop, if you will.
Yes.
And that went into Chapter 3. Now, what was Chapter 3 called?
Chapter 3 was called the Dragon Hatchery.
Okay, it was called the Dragon Hatchery.
So, Leosin asked the characters to return to the raider camp and scout out, which they left, went to the camp. They found that it had been gone. The camp packed up, moved on. So they searched around, found a cave, went down into a cave, which led into they discovered a dragon egg hatchery.
Right. The bulk of the raiding force had moved on. We were able to walk in and investigate. Didn't really find a whole lot of information out in the camp, but then we found this cave entrance that ended up being a dragon hatchery where there were dragon eggs in there. So
they sweep the hatchery. They encounter Cyan again.
Well, Cyanrath, yeah.
Cyanrath.
It was ironic the way it happened. Well, not ironic. It was climactic the way it happened. The way I recall it. We ended up tangling with some of the kobolds or cultists.
Both.
There was a priestess involved down there of Cult of the Dragon, and Cyanrath made an appearance. And while we're throwing down, just fighting hard, I'm almost positive Davlin called Cyanrath out during the fight, and this time it went Davlin's way.
Yes, the magic users buffed him up, threw a few spells on him. The fight commenced. Cyanrath was killed. I do believe the characters also killed the priestess.
Right. We cleared the proverbial dungeon, the hatchery. We cleared it, and there were 3 eggs that we were able
to acquire.
That were available.
Yes.
And I think only one of them made it out, didn't it?
No, you guys took all 3 of them.
Did we take all 3 of them?
I thought either you took all 3 or you took 2 and smashed 1.
Well, I know we smashed at least 1. I remember that much, but it's vague.
I can't remember if you took 1 or 2.
That's the problem with the end of the adventure, or the sessions, right? Is because we're just slowly, progressively getting a little more loaded as the night goes on. So it gets real hard to remember, and we weren't recording this stuff yet. Anyway, we do take dragon eggs, or a dragon egg.
Yeah, to a town called Elturiel.
Elturiel, that's correct.
Where they were met up with Leosin. They were introduced to Ontharr Froom and the Order of the Gauntlet.
Right. Ontharr Froom.
Yeah.
Right.
Who then hired them out to sail down the river to Baldur's Gate, identify the cult wagons, joined up with said caravan, and follow.
Right. Join the same caravan as the identified Cult of the Dragon members were moving the treasure from the plunder from Greenest. They were moving it northbound.
They were doing a moving stakeout.
Right. We were to stay on the trail and report back to him when we had opportunities, right?
Yes.
Which I believe we were doing in different fashions throughout the time.
Yes.
Sometimes it was like a carrier falcon, or
just leave a note underneath a rock alongside the road.
Right. We'd run into somebody who might have been associated with the Harpers who were going the other way, and we'd drop a little message, and it'd get back to them.
Do the sending, the spell sending.
The sending spell was used, I know that, yeah. But, really what happened is that we picked up with the very first podcast in the beginning of Chapter 4, where we are in Baldur's Gate and we're, trying to identify the Cult of the Dragon caravan. The Cult of the Dragon caravan. Or let me repeat that.
What caravan their load's going
right.
with.
Which caravan the Cult of the Dragon is traveling in. We were able to do that and then sign on as guards, and that's where the first podcast picks up. Well, I know that's kind of in a nutshell and not really all that descriptive, but it was a hell of a ride. We had a really good time with it, and our podcasting is remedial right now. We're really doing this out of genuine just love for the game and
why not?
And the fun of it. Why not, man? We want to share our adventures just as much as everybody else does. I just don't want to go sit in a game shop and do it. That's all.
I don't have time for that shit.
Word. We work. We got to do that shit. All right. So I think that wraps it up on my end. Shawn, was there anything else you wanted to add?
That's pretty much it. I mean, I'm hoping these guys can make it through the Horde and then make it through in the Rise of Tiamat's.
Yeah, I'm excited too. I know that. I tell you what, you can always go to Facebook and check out 4 Players, 1 Dungeon. Check out the page there. You should be able to like us on there if you want. And I think all the episodes are located. The links are located on there. Bo, have an independent Twitter handle of The Other Perkins. And it's related to this, and that's mine. Anyway, if you go to Facebook, you can check us out. If you just fucking Google us, you can probably find us. If there's anything else you guys want to know about, if you want to know more detail, if you want to leave us comments, you want to fuck with us, whatever, man, hit us up. Let us know.
Always in the need of NPC names.
Always need NPC names. And don't give us some fucking Kragnar of the Hill people shit. For real. We need real names, and I guess it can't be like Trevor and Arnold and shit, but come on, man. Like, what's that guy's name? What's that Froome guy's name? What is it?
Onthar
Froome. Give me a fucking break. Anyway, guys, have a good time. I hope you enjoyed listening. We enjoyed recording. Take care.
And that's going to do it for this prequel episode of the 4 Players, 1 Dungeon podcast. I'd like to thank Shawn and Bo for recording that for us and getting our listeners caught up with how we got up to Chapter 4, where the podcast started. Again, you can like us over on Facebook, follow us at Twitter at fpodpodcasts, and email us at fpodplays@gmail.com. Episode 7 of the Horde of the Dragon Queens will be posted this Friday on iTunes and our Spreaker, and we'll see you next time on the 4 Players, 1 Dungeon podcast.
This has been an FPod podcast production. If you didn't enjoy this episode, it's probably your own fucking fault.